Okay, so I gotta re-record this because my camera just messed up. Okay, so I posted this post on Facebook, and it is about this guy who supposedly, um, in Tucson, Arizona, he got pulled over for a headlight that was out, and a cop did a U-turn, pulled him over, and this guy happens to be black, and he had a concealed carry permit and had a weapon on him. He told the officer that he had a weapon on him. The officer had him step out, and the officer disarmed him and then let him get his identification and everything out. Everything checked out, and the officer said, thank you for being compliant with me, and pretty much just let him off with a warning, like, hey, get your headlight fixed and whatever. So it was all good and gravy. So I posted it to Facebook saying, hey, not everything happens that way. Yeah, there are bad apples in the police force, and bad shit does happen. But most of the time, when you comply, it's not the big of a deal. And that's what this guy was trying to say. As a black man, that's what he was trying to say. Okay, so here are the comments that followed. One person, and I'm not going to mention names. I'm going to give them letters. So, X says, it's a great concept, isn't it? Y says, I think this guy was planted in the news. Of course. X says, there's plenty of that going on. Y says, it seems different though. This is counterproductive. This guy and his good experience of not being murdered for no reason is meant to make people think that it must have been the victim's fault in some way. Which I wanted to reply to that and say, I don't think that's what this was to be for, because in both cases of the shootings, it wasn't the victim's fault. Yeah, there were things that led up to it that the victims could have done to kind of dissuade the issue from happening, but all in all, the cops should not have shot either one of them. So it's the police officer's fault. It's not the victim's fault. But there were so many comments after that, I didn't have time to comment. So then there's some more comments, yada, yada, yada. So then I comment and I said, either way, whether in this particular incident the police were in the right or in the wrong, there were police officers that abused their authority, and it does need to be dealt with because it makes the others who effectively do their job correctly look bad. With that said, I have 2 points to make. Okay? Blacks victimizing themselves because their race is under attack is total bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's what I believe. If you look at the crime stats and you look at the shootings and everything, which you can find anywhere, it just doesn't add up. There are the same amount for all races. If you look at the YouTube compilation of police brutality, it's not just blacks, it's all races. If you can prove me wrong, please do. And I will totally agree with you. If you can show me numbers from a legitimate source, because I'm not saying my sources are legitimate, I'm going by sources that I find. I'm not sure how legitimate they are, but from the sources that I have found. So if you can find a legitimate source to prove me wrong, please do, and I will change my view on that. Okay, so I continue. I have seen plenty of unfortunate police brutality videos. It's not just blacks, maybe in particular cities or whatever. But then again, when I watch the videos of them being victims, I'm like, well, look at how you live your life. No matter your skin color, you look suspicious as fuck. Sorry, but you do. There are some people that it doesn't matter your skin color. If you're loitering around and you have your hoodie pulled over and you're standing there, you're going to look suspicious. A cop is going to come up and ask you what you're doing. Plain and simple. Most businesses have no loitering signs. A police officer is going to ask you what you're going to do. And if you comply with them and just say, hey, I'm waiting on a ride, or, you know, I'm stuck here and I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing, or, you know, whatever, they'll most likely leave you alone. Now I know in inner cities it's a lot different. So, and that's why I put that, because in cities, you know, there are some racist cops that do harass blacks, and I get that. I totally get that. I've seen it on video. I've seen it happen, and I will admit that it does happen. So number two, retaliation on police officers who had nothing to do with this is not going to solve anything. An eye for an eye, that is war. So are we at war? Who's against who? I'd really like to know this, and also need to make a couple stops at a gun shop to protect myself if we're at war. This is just ridiculous, I'm just saying. Now, let me repeat that, what I said. An eye for an eye, that is war. So are we at war? Who's against who? I'd really like to know this, and also need to make a couple stops at a gun shop to protect myself if we're at war. This is just ridiculous, I'm just saying. Okay, so this is saying if we're at war, I need to know if we're at war, because I need to stock up on supplies to protect myself and my family. I'm not saying I'll choose a side, and I don't know who is on one side, and I don't know who is on the other side. So that's why I put who's against who. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. And I'm still getting comments. Okay, this is ridiculous. Okay, so then a friend of mine that I know online, so I'll call her O for online. She, I guess, took this the wrong way. Now, the first two people who commented were white. And the only reason why I'm bringing race up in this is because that's what everybody wants to fucking do. So let's bring race into this, okay? And obviously I'm white, so in case you missed that. And I don't like to be. You see how pissed off I am? I don't like to be like this. Hang on just a second. Hello? Yeah. The bistro. Alright, let me go. That was the man of the house. He's on his way home. Okay, so I didn't want to pause the video because last time I did that, it made me stop and record the whole thing over. So, okay, so O says, quote, I'd really like to know this and also make a couple stops at the gun shop to protect myself before at work, end quote. Good to know that's how you feel about me, Heather. I sat there really and like scratched my brain. Like, I scratched my head so hard, I probably reached brain matter. Like, what? What do you mean? What do you have to fucking do with it? What? Because I want to, as a citizen of the United States, and I've actually been wanting to go get a gun anyways, I've been wanting to get thought about getting a shotgun, to teach my son how to shoot one, because he's shown that he's been really responsible with BB gun and the arrows and everything. So he's been really responsible with gun safety. I've been wanting to get a shotgun, to teach him how to shoot more. So I mean, I've been thinking about doing that anyways, but I put, you know, if we're going to be at war, I'd like to have one in the house, you know, to protect myself. So what the? Good to know that's how you feel about me, Heather. Okay. So then I respond with how I feel about you. Where in this did I point you out? I was sarcastically stating that the retaliation against the police is not going to do anything but start a war as a nation. That's why I asked, quote, who is against who, end quote. I don't see how I pointed that towards anyone in particular except for those supporting said, quote, war, end quote, that seems to be arising. And then I commented again and said, I understand there are a lot of emotions going on, but separation is not the key, and that seems to be what everyone wants to do. And I'm not talking about just separation against races. And then in parentheses, I put, I have always been a big advocate on making the race issue not an issue, in parentheses. But as a divided country already, why divide ourselves even more? And she puts, when white people are, quote, sarcastic, end quote, about buying guns for retaliation, I pay attention. In case you haven't noticed, lots of white people have already started doing that for real. It's not really a joke. At least they have where I am. And I put, I did not say retaliation. Not only is my whole post against the retaliation, but I clearly said for protection if we are in fact at war. And then O responds with, also the victimhood thing is pretty simple, considering a black man is killed by law enforcement every 28 hours. Now, I have yet to find that statistic. And that we are more than 50% of prisoners despite only 12% of the population. Now, I took a sociology class my second year of college, and I've taken 3 more since then. I don't remember those numbers, and nor can I find those numbers anywhere. So again, if anybody would like to give me a credible source for these numbers, I'd be more than happy to believe you. So just throwing numbers at me is not going to persuade me into anything. And then she follows up with protection with a gun has never really meant protection. How many unarmed black men have been shot in self-defense? I responded, I took sociology. I understand there's a lot of racist bigots out there, but people are retaliating on innocent police officers without having the full story of what happened. She put, yeah, no one agrees with that. We know. It's one person who's not even associated with any groups. A lot of stake to put in one person's action. We don't talk about war after 114 innocent black men are killed, but 5 cops are gunned down, and now it's a war. I mean, that in itself is crazy. Now, to comment on that, because I wasn't able to, yeah, that's a war. Because you have backfire. You have back and forth. You have retaliation. That's war. And talking like it could is, in my opinion, harmful and urges hysterical behavior. And I put, around here, protection means protection. And again, it was sarcasm, meaning we need to find a peaceful way of fixing this instead of going all helter-skelter about this. I think you may have read just a little too far into the gun thing. Granted, I know you live out in Cali where shit has hit the fan a tad more than here, but you wouldn't be on my friends list if I meant disrespect, harm, or ill will towards you. Again, it was sarcasm, and what I meant by it is, quote, if someone is going to retaliate on innocent police lives because of incidents that they were not connected with and do not know the full story about, then we are going to be at war because many are sure to follow. To me, all lives matter. Now, a friend of mine, I think I gave him Y. Yeah, Y responds, no, stop. You sound racist. If you meant all lives matter, you wouldn't say it. You'd react differently to the news, and this wouldn't be a matter of what we do. We change laws, and we hold murderers accountable, and that's what we do. We don't tell our comrades that we're being overly sensitive about their position. Do you read those numbers? Does anyone know math? Because to me it looks like a fucking countdown, and I know that just And I know that you just don't realize that it isn't your fault. You have bigots all around you. This is Indiana. But we're not waiting for the fucking evidence to tell us what happened. There's video. There's many videos. Good cop, bad cop. It doesn't matter. It's the law that needs change, and by the time it reads that way, reads the way it should, these racist fucks won't want to be cops anymore because they won't be able to kill people, any people. And then you can show up to vote with a Molotov in your hand. You can say all lives matter. The fuck? So I responded with, are you being serious right now? Like, for real. I was simply trying to explain what I meant by what I said because it was taken completely the wrong way. And saying all lives matter is racist? You need a dictionary, dear. And I don't think what I am trying to portray is being understood. So let me spell it out. If people retaliate and take justice in their own hands, others will follow. With the nation already starting to divide, this is going to create anarchy. I was simply saying that if we are going to resort to an eye for an eye mode, that it is essentially war. Then I said, if we are at war, I'd like to know so I can prepare myself to protect my family. Plain and fucking simple. And by protect, I don't mean go out and start shooting people. I mean, if someone tries to enter my home with any intention besides seeking refuge from said anarchy/war, I want to be able to protect myself and can only explain myself so many times before I sound like a broken record. And by all lives matter, I mean we need to come together, all races, backgrounds, creeds, and orientations, and make our legislators fix this problem instead of dividing ourselves even further. If this is racist, then I guess I'm a racist. You might want to call Webster because they have some editing to do. He then responds, this is what I mean. Until black lives really do matter, until we show them how important they are to our society by disarming police of the laws that they use to kill black people daily, it's hit or miss. It's like 2 a day. Until that changes, my opinion equals shit. Who cares what I think? Saying all lives matter is like saying fuck off, I'm gonna do me. All lives don't matter to the police until black lives matter. When black lives matter, then we can make our own hashtag. Until then, it sounds racist. You're diverting the situation saying all is clear. It isn't. What the fuck? Then he follows with, I sit down every night and attempt to write the same essay. The one I can show all my white friends so that they get it. It's so hard. It's like trying to explain white privilege. It's fucking impossible. So I'm sorry if I come off like an asshole, but I'm really passionate about this because it takes every one of us to make this world whole. We'll come together and bond later, but fight now. We have to stop the murdering. We have to. There's a manifesto. Read it. Believe it. Fight for it. It's so good. I put I wasn't diverting anything. I was saying it as in we need to all come together and fix this. Instead, I'm being called a racist every 5 minutes because I'm white. Every video I post on saying something like I agree the police were in the wrong or my heart goes out to the family, even though I'm agreeing with everyone because I am white, I am racist. So I'm sorry, but when I post something insinuating that all races should come together and fix this, and get called a racist by a so-called friend, I get a little heated under the collar. It's not because of where I am from or the environment in which I live. I'm college educated and can think for myself. I was saying it's a national issue because it is, and it's going to become more of a bigger problem the longer we stay divided. Y replies with, I need you to sit down and study modern racism. I promise you that I know you're not racist, but until you learn the way those fuckers talk, you don't notice when you do it. Like I said, we're engulfed in bigotry here, and until we educate ourselves, that won't really change. Every civilian would say all lives matter. The police are still going to kill someone. Think it would be a white girl? He said, I'm just going to stop. I know you're hating me right now. I just don't want you to sound like that. If it broke my heart a little. You can think white people have it as hard time with cops. I'm a felon who dropped out of the ninth grade that also hops trains, and sure, I've never been off paper, but they haven't beaten me into the hospital in almost a decade. Okay, so carrying on with O, because Y's comments are the most recent. So carrying on with O, the original issue, I put, when I become a police officer, as I stated in my video, I will gladly point out if my fellow police officers are abusing their power. It is something that needs to be dealt with in this country, no doubt about that. O puts, I'm just pointing out that when shit is actually going down, folks aren't going to assume you're joking, you know? Someone could really read that out of context, like, she's right. What the fuck? What is there? You're reading it out of context. Or even as a future officer, you don't want to be saying stuff like that, because even if it's a joke, they will 100% dredge it up. I'm glad you were joking, but it's not clear, at least to me. And I put out, I wasn't necessarily joking, though. And that's why I was careful to put for protection. I wanted it to sound extreme because that's how far it has become. She put, well, then we don't have anything to discuss if you're not joking. I put, I was being sarcastic, not joking. I'm confused, however, as to why you're offended. I'm merely pointing out that we have become a divided nation headed towards a war with ourselves. She put, I'm offended because the us-them is citizens against police brutality versus police. The majority of people who are against police brutality are the people getting their asses beat. Protecting yourself from this war really translates to an excuse to carry a gun and threaten black people into submission, which should be a great solution since they're protesting murder. Yeah, I want a gun so that I can just walk up to a black person and say, submit to me. The fuck? She put, which, by the way, many folks are doing. My friend just last week had a white man scream at her and had an open carry permit, and he could, quote, kill you and be out in a day and a half because the KKK is alive and well, nigger. I put, well, that is horrible and disgraceful. I've actually had a few run-ins with the KKK. They are worse than racist bigots. I don't even have a word for them. When I was 14, and like I said in another video, I believe now in hindsight I was quite younger. I think I was about 12 or 13. When I was 14, I had to step in and defend a friend who came when they came to town. I was told that I was denying my heritage and should step away from that nigger. I have no business hanging around with his kind. I replied with, I'm Irish, German, and Native American. Please tell me which heritage I am denying, because I proudly spoke all three to you. Now please step away from us before I call the police on your bigot ass. Oh, and they don't take too kindly to your kind around here. I understand the hatred. Unfortunately, you can't fix stupid. But I don't mean I want to carry our gun around. I meant to have it home for protection. And no, that's not what it translates to. It literally means, what the fuck is going on? Why are we doing this? This is why I wrote it in such an extreme manner, because if things keep going, we will be at war. But again, I even asked, who is against who? I don't even state that I would choose a side. I meant that if a war breaks out, I would like to have a couple shotguns in my house to protect me and my family from anyone who becomes a threat. She replies with, equal opportunity murder doesn't really make it less like the intent to murder, does it? How exactly do you plan to determine these threats? or the guilt of the people you're defending yourself from. Popular techniques have included people holding Skittles, wearing a hoodie, and sometimes doing both. So now she's using sarcasm. I said, I'm not quite understanding how nor why this has come this far. I'm not going to shoot someone for eating Skittles. What I mean is, if there becomes a day where all anarchy comes into play with the political issues and current issues, and there is a war of whoever and whatever race or whatever on my street, and someone tries to invade my house for anything besides refuge, I'd like to protect my family. I'm not sure, but it sounds like you're taking my words down a road I'm not part of. I know we met on the internet, but if you knew me in real life, you wouldn't have the view upon me. Trust me, I'm on the side of the people. All people. We as humans and United States citizens need to find a way to fix this. Our leaders need to fix this before we have a war on our hands. And by that, I'm not meaning blacks against police or blacks against whites. I mean a war of people against people. That was my point. Anarchy. Not a specific race, creed, or group against one another. Yes, I know it would be, but I was not implying who, nor that I knew who. It was a statement for dramatic effect to wake people up and realize if we don't do something, it will result in anarchy. And of course, Y has to put, most racism comes unintentionally. It comes from your environment and how you perceive the world and those around you. But it's dangerous to believe that you know how others see the world. To which I replied, I never implied any of such. I simply said that she and I had a friendship. I simply said that had she and I had a friendship in person rather than only the internet, she would understand more of my views. I would think someone like you would understand that. Me. But like you said, it's dangerous to believe that you know how others see the world. And I have 2 more notifications. He said he was done commenting, but apparently he commented on something else. Yeah. The thing is he says, in one of his comments about, you don't see this happening to white people. You don't. And, but the thing is it does happen to white people. And it happens to other, races and such. That's the issue, is, we're not seeing that. It's not being shown. Okay? That's the issue. That is why I said to quit playing the race card. Because it's not just one race. That was my whole point. And then my next point was, if we're going to go out and start shooting people to get even, innocent people to get even, I would like some protection for myself. And apparently that makes me racist. So, hi guys, I am a white racist bigot because I would like to protect myself from any threats. If somebody comes in my house and threatens to harm me, I'm racist because I want to protect myself against them. But that's only because of the recent incidents. Before all this, had I previously been a gun owner and I wanted to protect myself, I wouldn't have been a racist bigot. But since all these occurrences are happening, now that I said something about it, because I feel that there is a war coming on, because I want to protect myself from such war, I am a racist bigot. Because I'm white. So, white people, guess what? You're racist. All white people are racist. That is the majority of what I'm getting. Because like I said, almost every video that I have posted on, I've actually deleted my comments because some of them have gotten kind of nasty. I've watched videos and tribute videos to these people that, have been murdered and everything, and things going on, and I've posted things like, my heart goes out to these families, and the police were totally in the wrong, and yes, I watched this video the other day, and from what I saw, the police were totally in the wrong. And the next comment underneath the reply is that I'm white and why am I on their page? I'm sorry, it didn't say black people only. I must have missed that sign. I'm sorry. Sorry. Do you not allow white people on your videos? You might want to state that. No white people allowed to watch. You might want to put that. So yeah. So now we're getting into the race issue, because now, even if you try to have sympathy, it's, oh, well, we don't want your sympathy. Well, what the fuck do you want? Okay? How can we make you happy? Would you like some fucking french fries and would you like a Happy Meal? I mean, fuck. Okay? As a white person, you can't fucking win. Okay? You can't say shit, because then you're racist. And then I was even told that a black person, by definition, can't be racist. Motherfucker, I don't know what kind of fucking dictionary you're looking at. Oh my god. I don't like to be this angry. I don't. Okay? My solution was we come together as a nation and make our leaders see that this is an issue for all of us and get this issue fixed. Order stricter restrictions on police officers. Because I've seen videos where they're allowed to be by themselves with people, not just black people, all people, and they abuse people that they arrest, and there needs to be tighter restrictions on that. And we need to have legislation in order and everything, and we need to come together as a nation. And instead, we're attacking each other because the melanocytes of our fucking in our skin. Okay, I'm sorry that I don't produce enough pigment in my skin to speak to you. I'm sorry. The fuck. I mean, I'm just gonna stop right there.